Hey, it's Josh Campbell with the OSU Extension Office here. I am going to give you a few tips today on what to do with those spring flowering bulbs that you might have in your landscape right now. So, oftentimes we plant the spring flowering bulbs in the fall. Those would be daffodils and tulips, things like that. They bloom for a few weeks in the spring, usually around Easter time, and then those blooms finish up and they don't look as pretty, and we're tempted to want to cut those plants back. So I'm going to give you a few tips and alternatives to doing that so that you ensure that you have success and that you ensure that those bulbs continue to bloom for you year after year. You see some tulips. These are usually later bloomers, and these here are daffodils. They're usually among the first of the spring flowering bulbs to bloom. You can see here that these daffodils have started to lose their blooms, and depending on the types of daffodils and tulips and things that you have, they may be close to finishing the blooms, or they may put on a few more blooms. They're daffodils that bloom early, middle, and late in the spring season. But you'll find that after a short period of time that daffodils will bloom, and the tendency that people have is to want to go ahead and, because the foliage might look ugly, you have these blooms, is to want to tear these off, and to even some people cut these down at the base right here so that you don't have all this empty foliage in the garden. While that's tempting, the best thing to do is actually to let this green foliage continue to grow. What it's doing is it's actively collecting energy from sunlight. It's photosynthesizing, and that energy is going to be stored in the roots or the bulb that's below the ground, so that this can produce a flower next year, a new plant next year. And if you go ahead and cut it at this stage, odds are that you may not have that bulb come back next year. The flowers of the daffodils and tulips, after they're gone, that foliage will last for as much as 6 weeks, and so you can clean up those dead blooms and leave that foliage to just add some nice green color to your landscape for a few weeks into the spring. Here I'm cutting the foliage from these daffodils, just giving it a nice little haircut, cleaning up some of the dead spent blooms, because I'm going to have this foliage here for several more weeks in my garden, so I'm cleaning it up so it'll look nice. Now that I've got the plants cleaned up, I'm gonna wait for the foliage to completely yellow back before I cut it and remove it from my garden. To learn about this and other landscape practices that you could be doing right now, go to our fact sheet website, facts.okstate.edu, and check out the landscape maintenance schedule fact sheet.